player of the week in week number 2. And Ray, we've talked about it last week. We asked guys for feedback, what they want us to do. I actually had a couple guys this week that told me they'd like to be part of the process with picking the player of the week. And perhaps we can put a poll up. I know you talked to Doug. Maybe we can get one on the website or maybe even on the Facebook page. But for those guys who are listening, if you'd like to participate in the player of the week going forward, maybe that's something, Ray, we can make interactive.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love that. I mean, I really don't want to be the one to have to sit back, especially with us not being at each game and different things, and have to pick that guy out and maybe leave somebody out who really stood out. So I'm thinking, we definitely got to talk with Doug to see if we can get something either on the website or even through Facebook. I think we can put up like a little poll. And if anybody out there is very familiar with that and knows that right off the top of your head how to do that, please send us a message. But I will look into that. And I think starting next week, I think we should try that. And what we'll do is have some people submit some guys in for that player of the week. And then we'll put the little poll up and pick like 3 of them out of that list, and then do a voting, and then let the players decide.
Sounds like a plan. Absolutely. We'd like to get as much participation as we can from our audience. We talked about the 2 games Sunday there. We were finally able to get some Wednesday games in last night. We got 2 out at Crosley, 1 at Foundation, and we got 1 in at Finneytown. Our thanks to Adrian Schau for helping us get that Finneytown one lined up. We had a little snag at Cordero. They were still putting the sod down, so we weren't quite ready to use Cordero yet, but we were able to get some games in last night. Ray, no major surprises here. I'm going to run over a couple of these with you. I was out at Crosley for that Suds Expos game. A lot of unknown with this Expos team, but I'll tell you what, it was 2-1 in the 5th inning. The Suds were only up 2-1. I know they broke it open in the 6th with 11 runs, but that Expos team, not bad. Some of the guys from the Blue Jays that we might remember over the last few years. I think Schneider, a guy that you're familiar with, I think he went to Florida with you guys last year, and Justin Pribble's got a decent team there. I think this Expos team might be a little bit better than your typical new team.
Oh yeah, definitely. They have good players, and they had some last year. I know they were looking at picking up a few people, and Kurt is definitely a good friend of mine. Kurt and I have been playing ball together for a long time. We started out over in the with the Mariners and stuff, and going through with into the Orioles and into the Kentucky Roy Hobbs League. We played together, so we've been pretty good friends throughout the years, and we're teammates down in Florida this year. And actually, he is playing with me in with the Colt 45s in the 40s and over in Roy Hobbs. So
nice,
yeah. So they're definitely going to have a good team. The Suds, always going to be good, and we picked the player of the week, and I think we might want to keep an eye out for these guys on Sunday. But I see Godfrey and Cruz both went 3 for 3 in that game. So a lot of good hitting going on early on. I even see Rubel. Is that how you say his name?
John Rubel, the big catcher. He got there a little late last night. They put him at the end of the lineup, and first swing he rips one into the left center field gap for a couple runs, and that guy could walk out of bed and get 3 hits. A really good hitter. Didn't play much last year, but that Suds team, they're dangerous. They won the consolation bracket last year, and I think I even mentioned this last week. That team, in many years, would be good enough to make it to the end. It's just a testament to how deep that this league is. They just happen to run into a pretty good hustle team in the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah, and again, they're going to be there. And some of the other games, I'll kind of recap a couple of them. I'll just give some quick out scores. Deerfield 8, Dodgers 3. So Deerfield comes out and takes Dodgers down after having a big win coming out. Brewers 13, Tigers 3. That one kind of stood out to me a little bit, with that big of a difference.
No,
in the score.
I know you're looking at the website, Ray, and I know a lot of the guys listening to this will look at the website religiously. I'd be remiss if we didn't touch on the Brewers write-up on the website. So let me give you a little background here. Over the last couple of years, it's been the Kim Scott-Un thing, the theme with the North Korean dictator. It looks like they've changed gears. I actually went to the Reds game last Friday, walking on my way to the ballpark. Sure enough, I run into Jay Lowry. He's the guy that does the Brewers write-ups on the website. They call him the Minister of Propaganda. So he's changed his theme this year. His theme this year is Civil War Letters to Home. So I'm going to read this back to you. I couldn't help but laugh when I read this morning. It says, and I quote, My beloved Annabelle, General Compton, that would be Scott, the manager, had us march through the night to reach the battlefield way before the Tigers. Due to his foresight, we were able to set up artillery and emerge victorious. We will rest until next week. Give Mother my love. I picture those Andrew Luck letters, Civil War letters that you always see on the football season. So Jay, a pretty creative guy. We gave him an award a couple of years ago for these crazy write-ups he does on the website. And half the time you can't tell if the Brewers won or not, but I'll tell you what, it gives me a chuckle every Thursday morning and when I read these things.
Yeah, I remember last year going through some of them and reading them. I was just cracking up. So, we might end up having to do a little spot for him each week with one of these and add it in there. So his weekly write-up, that might be something we can do. But
the Minister of Propaganda, Jay Lowry, strikes again. And a good one last night. But as you mentioned, right, a 13-3 win. The Brewers beat the Tigers. For those not familiar, the Tigers, kind of a new team. Thomas Hammond running that team. He's got some guys from the Anderson League, some guys who have played in the league before. Kind of a mix of guys. Got some good talent on that team. And I think they'll be all right. But certainly the first game coming out of the gate, always a tough one.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So, coming in, they'll pick up. We'll see some, they'll be up and down there right off the bat, trying to get into the league and kind of find themselves again, especially, changing leagues. Sometimes that's a little different and, going from, some of the guys that maybe used to seeing guys 30 and over a little bit more. And now you got some of the younger guys. So getting the speed of the game is a little bit different with us, of course. So I think they'll do all right. We'll wait and see how that plays out. But, like I said, it was really good to see the Brewers get a big win.
The Brewers certainly, I was telling Scott, I was at the Reds game with him Friday, Scott Compton, the manager of the Brewers. They have never had a season where they've won fewer than the previous season. They've improved their win total every season they've been in the league. They had 9 last year, so I'm sure Scott and company trying to improve on that and get to double digits this year. One other game, Ray, that we haven't touched on, the last game, really no surprise out there. The 6-time champion Hooks taking care of business against the Dragons, and really, with the way the Hooks are, you really wouldn't expect anything less.
Exactly. I mean, every week you pop this up, you're kind of looking to see what was the damage done with these guys. So they got some ball players on that team, and again, they're going to be battling at the top again this year, so people are going to try to be knocking them down. But we'll have to keep an eye on that because they're going to have some players that pop out and stand out for players of the week as well. So we'll look and see how that ends up with those guys.
Absolutely. Well, it's time to take a look forward to the week ahead. We just recapped week 2. Week 3, a little bit different. We don't have the Sunday that we would normally have. We do have next Wednesday, and for those not familiar with how I had to do the schedule this year, and Ray can attest to this, the high school baseball season, well, at least on the Ohio side, I'm not sure about Kentucky, Ray, but they extended it 1 week this year. So we kind of had to bump back our full-time Wednesdays to May 22nd. Now, I do have a handful of fields that are available this next Wednesday. Had a handful last night, but not enough for all 20 teams to play. So initially, I have 6 games scheduled for next Wednesday. We added a 7th with Testerman. Deerfield and the Dragons are going to make up their week 1 rainout. So Bill Barnhill was kind enough to let us use Testerman next Wednesday. And I think we're going to add KFC to allow the Tigers and Expos to make up a rainout. So we may well have 8 games next Wednesday night, and a full complement would be 10. So it's not going to be a full schedule, obviously, because of Mother's Day and because of the high school season. But this is it before we really start going full bore, 10 games every day starting in 2 weeks.
Yeah, like you said, it's good that we're getting in there and getting those 2 games in each week. So, I'm looking forward to us. I should be home from traveling from work in time to be able to make our game on Wednesday night against the Orioles at North College Hill. So I know we got the Meridians and the Hustle at Foundation, Mudcats and the Knights at Action Sports, Flying Tigers and the Dayton Braves at Crosley. And
that'll be the late game. Yeah, that's going to be a good matchup. When you talk about some of these games, the Flying Tigers, who were the Flying Pigs last year, they were the Braves before that. They were the Astros going way back to the day. That's a series that's gone back and forth. The Braves got them last year. The Pigs got them the year before. I think that's going to be a pretty good matchup this week, a pretty even matchup. Both of those teams can flat out hit the ball.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be a good matchup. You guys got a nice, tough one coming up Wednesday night as well against the Reds there at Crosley.
Yeah, we're going to play the Reds at Crosley. We have the early game at 6:15. We're going to start Jeff Barger, coming off the hand injury last year. Going to throw him out there. I will not have Frank Ngolia, who was going to be our opening day starter. So we're going to have to try to ride Jeff a little bit and maybe a little bit of bullpen by committee. I wasn't planning on throwing anybody more than a couple innings anyway. We haven't had as much as a scrimmage game. So definitely going to be a tough night. I know the Reds have a couple of good arms. Jeff Muse, we know all about. Dave Burns, also pretty good pitcher. And I think they picked up a couple of new guys. So the Reds, one of those teams that, and it's great to see this league, and you've been around as long as I have. It's good to see these teams over the years, to see the progression from going to, maybe one of the teams at the bottom to the middle to now an upper tier. And that's what we've seen with the Reds consistently since they came into the league back in 2013.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's nice about that is it makes it more exciting. You got new guys coming out, joining the league, you make the team better. Now all of a sudden you got other guys knocking teams off or, making it more interesting games. So that's it. That's a good thing. I love to see that. The Reds are definitely tough this year. So one last game that we need to mention is Sting and the Bulls play at Finneytown. And so that should be a decent game too there.
Yeah, the interesting thing, Ray, about this game, this will be the only game of the week in which neither team has played a game yet. I was looking up and down there. Every one of these games, at least one of the teams has played a game. But the Sting and Bulls, that's going to be a game where they're both pretty much going into it, having neither one having played a game yet.
Let's hope weather is really good for Wednesday night then, and that way everybody can get them in, and the Sting and the Bulls can get their first one in. So
let's hope. We're crossing our fingers. One that I may add to the schedule, I mentioned Expos and Tigers, two brand new teams there. And you know what I like about this matchup, Ray? One of the teams is going to get their first win.
There you go. That's a good thing.
So when you look up and down the schedule, there's looks like 7, maybe 8 games. What do we have for a game of the week this week? What do you want to go with?
This week, we're going to pick, that's a tough one, to be honest with you. Why don't we go with the Sting and the Bulls? I think,
all right.
I like that one. Let's pick that one out.
Sting and the Bulls it is. The Bulls have been a really good team the last couple of years since picking up Scott Brothers, Tyler Shunk, some young talent they brought in. And the Sting, they're coming off back-to-back losing seasons. That would have been unheard of a few years ago. But they've kind of retooled their roster a little bit. Chow's got some new guys coming in there. And I think the Sting may well be ready to return back to one of the elite teams in the league again.
Yep. Yeah, that'd be good to see how they come out. So, they've had a couple down seasons here. But they usually retool and they'll come back. So, we'll see how that goes, but I'd like to see the outcome of that game. So,
yep, that'll be an interesting one to watch as we go forward next week. It's week 3. So,
yeah, we'll have some more games to be able to go ahead and wrap up for next week. And like I said, guys, be looking out for hopefully we can get some things going with the Player of the Week to help out, get some more people involved. And keep the comments coming. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what do you think. If you got any ideas for the show, hey, we're all open. So just keep everything coming. Jason and I are enjoying this so far. So we'd like to keep it and build it and go from there. So keep things coming along.
Sounds good. Well, Ray, I appreciate all your work getting this done, producing this show and co-hosting it. Certainly. You're a jack of all trades, so I certainly thank you for all your efforts getting this up on the internet. Not an easy job.
No, not too easy, but it is a lot of fun, and it's kind of what I do for a living, and it's a hobby, so it makes it fun for me too. And can you really argue when we get to talk baseball? So
absolutely, a labor of love, as they say. Absolutely,
exactly. So. So that's going to wrap it up this week, guys. So like I said, just keep things coming. Jason, take us out.
All right. As Ray said, it's going to wrap it up. Follow us on SoundCloud.com. Ray will have this up for us shortly up there. Like us on Facebook. And you can check out the league's website. It's www.CincyABL.com. That's Cincy with a Y. You can find all the stats, standings, rosters, schedules, all kinds of stuff to keep you entertained on there. And we'll have that updated, all the teams update the game stories pretty much immediately after they happen. I hope you enjoyed listening.